my little presentation is basically called the Ra-metic tree. Uh, Basically, the point is that I've tried to get as many of the law of one principles and things that Ra talks about into the tree to show you guys how applicable it is. I've also kind of tried to show a way of you actually seeing your path in the tree in how it's laid out. So first, I was just going to go through some really brief history, but I didn't have time to do the full research, so I'm just going to kind of bullet point it. So, from what I understand, it started off very, very long time ago. I believe that the earliest ones were in India, then Persia, where they had the tree of life was quite a standard thing for them, Zoroastrianism. But then the Hebrews picked it up, and it became heavily linked with the Hebrew language, which, as we know, Ra said is not from Earth. Speaking of which, if anything I say doesn't resonate or anything, feel free to forget it because I don't want to interfere with free will and stuff. And um, you know, yes. So, well, yes. So that's the Kabbalist stuff. Where they basically take each one of these sephiroths, these spheres, and they denote it to a specific angelic entity that they then give specific powers to. So, I'll just run through what the tree is very basically to start off with, so that you've got an idea, and then I'll ask you guys to actually make your own one. So, come to this picture in a bit.
Okay.
God changed his consciousness into manifestation into us. So imagine this one sphere here is God with a dot in the center, and that's a very old symbol for God, just a circle with a dot in the middle. Now, if you imagine him then pushing himself down and reflecting in different manifest ways to come down at the bottom and give us our individual self. So the way that works is originally in most historical myths and pantheons, you'd get a creator, a created god, and created goddess. So this is the idea where the creator separates into a masculine form that then impregnates a feminine form, which then goes on to create the other uh, spheres. So this would be the first sphere, the divine sphere. This would be the supernal triangle, which leads to the spiritual sphere, which then leads to this reflected choice here. See, this is a triangle, and then it's reflected downwards onto here. This is the air, and this is the water. So this is God's reflection onto the water. So then the next one down would be how these then come into the psychological realm to give us mind and give us individuality, and then down into the manifest reality of things. Now, things to take into account: the tree is actually 3D. It's not a flat representation. So all of these things have to be seen from. There's a pyramid on the top, and then there's angles, and then there's kind of a cube shape, and then another pyramid shape at the bottom. And what's interesting is that this pyramid shape that you see here, where you've got the pyramid there and then this angle underneath, that's how Ra describes the energy structure for a pyramid's working, right? They take in the energy from underneath and then they beam it upwards. So there's lots to it. So, whoa.
That was nice.
That was good, cameraman. Hey, so let's move over here. Has everyone got their pens and papers ready? Yes?
Yep.
I believe so.
Okay, right. So first off, I'd like you to just get like a compass or just to draw a circle, draw around something, and just draw a straight line down and then 4 circles. And then the first circle, make sure that you start the next circle from the central point where you put the compass to do the next one. And then the central point to do the next one, central point to the next one.
At least everyone can see that.
So once you've done the 4 circles going down, then you're going to draw the pillars. This is a line just joining up these circles here, here, and here, where it overlaps. You can think of these as like the harmonics. And giving you essentially like a slither of the seed of life pattern. After that, then I need to go along, and where these things overlap, I need to just put a line straight through the middle. So what we're doing is here, we're drawing in how the physics of all these things fit together. So this is the spheres, but the spheres are circular. They're the same at all points. So by you need a structure, a governance to go down between stages. So the spheres are generally thought of as feminine shape, like energies, whereas the straight lines are masculine ones. So you could think of this as the whole, and this being an organizing factor to kind of work together to create. So then the once you down to putting the lines across there, then fill in this at the top to make the pyramid. Then you want the two lines to go down. You don't want to put anything on this one here. And then in this bottom square here, you want to do cross going across the middle. And then you want to go down to the same point just below. And then you want to go all the way to that bottom circle. How's everyone? Everyone keeping up?
Looking good. Thank you.
Okay, right. So next, have you got their number charts?
It's a bit of a lag, isn't it?
It's very hot here. I'm quite warm.
I know. Right, let's take the iPad. Wasn't here anything.
Okay, so on the nature charts, there should be a table that has the planetary and the what constellation each planet was in when you were born. So it should have a list of the planets with their star sign next to them. If you want to fill in your form, fill in your tree, starting here, and here we're going to draw the moon. So split the thing in half and draw the symbol for the moon, and then draw in whatever symbol you've got that connects to the moon. Then up here we've got Mercury. So that's the little horns, round face, and then that the star sign. This one's Venus. Once again, star sign. And then work your way up. This one's the sun. This one's Mars. This one's Jupiter. This one's Saturn. Now, I normally keep this one just as the zodiac sign, but apparently that one is now Uranus. That one is Neptune. And then you can put that there as. So, while you're all working out the tree, has anybody ever wondered how you. So, I'll answer for you. Astrology is basically based on the tree. If you want to look at this picture here, Jack. So, this is basically the great central sun. Yeah, this is the creator. This is where it all comes from. And your soul comes directly projected via the logo straight through down to the sun via the moon to your little waiting baby there on Earth. So, as it comes down, this is basically your like a laser that has your life, your consciousness in it. And every energy it passes, it gets kind of a vibration added, like a resonance, like an alteration added to the field. And that alteration is given by the specific archetypes, being the constellations, being the first thing that it passes through. That changes the energy to make it a certain way. Then as it goes past each planet, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, each one of them adds another vibration to that beam. So by the time it gets down to here, you've got a very, very specific energy that distortions placed on that beam that then ends up in the baby. So all of these things, all of how astrology works and how that affects you, all comes down to the path that you came in on. And that is all the tree of life. The tree of life basically shows you what planet, what star sign, what star sign the planet was in as you went past it. So then here you've then got in matters, say, of love, you might not act like an Aquarius, you might act like a Capricorn. So on that other tree, you have all of the specific places where the vibrations are affected by this affecting that, affecting you. And that will give you a very, very, very clear picture of who you are. So, really hot. So over here, you can see on this tree, this is actually my path. So I've laid this out. So when you look at this, what the Sephiroth really represents is very specific things. I'll get to that in a minute. In fact, no, we can come back to this one. Come over here, Jack. Right, so the next part of my talk is called A Forest of Trees. So, like I said, the tree of life's been around for a very long time, and it's called the cornerstone of Western occult because of the fact that you can basically fit anything to it. Any system that has a dynamic in and out. They're keeping them, dude.
Yeah, keep starting.
Yeah, so a dynamic in and out, parts to give you up and downs, and different alterations of psychology. Really, can be fitted on this tree. Any dynamic system. So here I put on all of the old um, uh, 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 pantheons of gods. So here we've got, this is the old druidic gods. So you might recognize this symbol here. Yeah, that is basically their same version of the tree of life. And these here would be all of the Celtic gods in their correct positions. This is the Chaldean tree. So this would be the one from ancient Greece with all of them in their correct positions. This is where we get the idea of Kronos being power at the top of this pillar, where Saturn becomes the pillar of power. So that's where you get power, love, wisdom that Ra talks about. So over here, this is actually the Egyptian tree, where Ra was a central point, and notice that it was up higher for them. And then all of these basically all correspond to exactly the same energies at each place. This one here is the Hindu version with all the same correlations, and here we've got the Norse version. But interestingly, the Norse had a very different version than this. They didn't actually have the gods in those positions. What they had was the different realms on Yggdrasil, the world tree. So this is where we were, and then you had realms that went up and realms that went down. But still, the structure is very, very similar to the tree of life anyway. And when you look at what these realms actually represent, if you went to them, you open them up inside your body, and basically they were the same as chakras. And the road that linked you between them was the rainbow road, and that's basically their version of astral projection. But this doesn't just apply to theological systems. If you look down here, this one here I did to basically look at how neurotransmitters work in the brain. So all of these different neurotransmitter release, they're in the exact positions of the corresponding behaviors and actions that are caused in a person um, via these psychological processes. This one here, this one breaks down how an atom works. So this comes down to particle physics, where you've got 0 point energy being broken down into Higgs boson particles, which then, gluons and photons. Then you've got neutrinos, quarks and bosons, electrons being the central parts, and it works the same way. Now, this is maybe my favorite one. This comes from my dead friend Justin. Now, long story short, I did some meditation. I spoke to him a little while ago, and he suggested this one. And he said that we've got it all wrong. It's not really about light, it's actually about vibration. And that God makes a sound here, and then as it goes down, it hits all of these different vibratory loops, which builds this structure, giving you that point there. Now, this picture that I've drawn around here with all these circles, that is actually the scientific model that they use to track any wave through a medium. So via that pattern there, you can clearly see, if you I'll put it up on the chat, that you can clearly see the actual correspondence between each one of those positions and the tree of life in real physics. So let's try and bring it back to you and the tree, because you've probably done your tree now. You understand why this tree has an effect on you because of this. Yeah, so this is now your tree, that you've got all of these different planetary effects affecting you, going down to you down here. So now I'd like to introduce you to the Ra-metic tree.
Oh, it's going to go sideways either way, so I'm going to go down like this. Why let me zoom? That's why. 1 second, guys.
Okay, so as I just explained, this is the top, where this is the one infinite creator. Now, let's talk about this and how Ra says these things are created, right? He says, first off, you get the first distortion. The first distortion is will. Yeah, that is the one creator deciding on polarity, positive and negative, and giving everything will, giving everything choice.
Let's swap sides with the sun so they can see. Right, up there's better.
The next distortion is that of love, giving you the body. And then the last part is the third distortion of love, of light, right? Giving you manifest reality. Then you've got going through here, that corresponds with the first sphere being divinity, the second sphere being spiritual, the third sphere is psychological, and the fourth sphere being physical. So if you go down here in Earth, in Malkuth, where this is where we are really, but it's not where our consciousness is. This is basically where the elemental forces combine to make the atoms, to make the energies that make the world. Right? This is where the Kundalini snake rises as it goes up. So from this point here, this would be your root chakra. And this is where basically we channel in infinite energy into the system. So if you imagine that, when God created this, he beamed all of that down, or that will down to the sun, who's our sublogos, who then pushes it out to the other planetary bodies and down towards us. And that gives us map, the one that you've already drawn. So you have what these things. So this is where we are. This is the energy, the kind of thing that makes us. Yeah, the red ray, the first density. So the first density energies, they then go up to make to give us the root chakra, that access to infinite energy that then pulls in to make our body. This is the sacral chakra that is essentially kind of the physical we are, but it's also the shadow self. It's also kind of the subconscious mind. Then we move up the central path, the high priestess, towards this choice here. Like I said before, like the thing about these separate things here, like a yin yang. So it's like this is the separation of those forces into a polarity. So if you want to look down here, Jack,
Yeah.
here you can see that this first choice here has a yin yang that then gives you what the Tao would call the nine triplicates, yeah, to then give you the manifestation of 10,000 things in the wheel of karma. So this would essentially be the same system as the Tao, laid out in a different way, where you have this giving you the polarity. That then gives you the essentially the framework, which would be the archangel realms. Yeah, this then gives you the ability, the potential manifestation, and then what happens. So then moving back up the tree, you've got what has happened, the earth. Yeah, then you've got your body, yeah, and then how your body is going to move upwards. What is this going to drag you up the tree? And that is because of the ego, because of the yellow ray, how you interact with others, how you build yourself in a bigger sense, that solar inside you. So that ego that is positive, that helps you grow. But that comes down to a polarity. Do you choose love and emotion, or do you choose logic and success and glory? Right? And somewhere between those, everyone will have a polarity. How emotion you are, how much you strive love, or you seek a companionship, or how much you get stuck in books and other ways of learning. But at some point there, you're going to have to make a choice. And that polarity is what sets your solar plexus chakra. It sets you for knowing who you are outwardly. And at that point, once you know yourself, then you can open your heart chakra and start to know everyone else, right? And that gives you power. So then once again, then you've got another choice. What do you do with that power? So that's what Mars and Jupiter really represent. Jupiter represents the protector, the positive use of power. Mars is an aggressor, is the outward force. You could say that this really represents service to self and service to other. This also represents access to the Jupiter mind and the Akashic, or the chariot, taking the mysteries up towards power. You could also say that Mars is a balancing point between Saturn being power and Jupiter being mercy. And then somewhere between that, you get the severity. Now, if you, once you've picked your side you're on, whether you're service to self, service to other, then the truth that you tell, the actions that you take outwardly, they're the things that set your blue chakra. They're the things that set you for who you are. Now, you can open the third eye. Yeah, this is death. But in the Kabbalic system, it's always taught this very illusory, because you can never really know what's up here, no matter how much you want to. So it's more, this gives you understanding of how this works, but you never see it clearly. So that's why it's always hidden. That's why death is always kind of, it doesn't have direct lines going to it. But you can activate it with the snakes going up. There are other routes to get to these places here and here anyway. So then we get to this top part again, where you've worked your way all the way up the sphere, and now you're right at the top. And it comes down to the thing that Ra's talking about: balancing power, love, and wisdom. So this is it. The tree is a complete downward and upward set of all. It has all of the stuff that Ra talks about in it. So if you look down here, this is this is how, for example, spiritual bypassing would work. So this down here is how somebody who is STO would complete the tree. They'd either go straight up the middle, they'd either go up this side, or they could light up every lamp. There, 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 yeah, there. Oh, sorry, there. So you actually get a complete set, right? But if you want to do the STO path, so SCS path, yeah, then you can actually go completely around the heart chakra. Yeah, because you go up to here, right? And then you can bypass the heart chakra. So then you can have access to these parts here, but you never need to use the heart chakra, exactly like Raj talks about. So you would self to try and talk you out of it. So is the path to talk to the higher self. That's that. So that there would be your general SCS path up the tree. So the syncope difference. This here is a direct proportioned, of service to self and service to other. So over here would be 100% service to self, 0 service to other, 0 service to self, 100% service to other. Now, if you measure from here, that is then 51%, meaning that you only have to be to there to graduate in S service to other. Whereas, if you wanted to graduate service to self, that means you've got to go all the way over to 95% to graduate over here. So, this bit here would be the sinkhole. The people that don't quite make it to here and don't quite make it to there. Other systems, you have to also think about these not as just straight lines. You have to think about these as spirals. So you have an upward spiral and downward spirals. So you should be able to see it in that picture there. So this is very similar to how Walter Russell described energy moving upwards and downwards.
Yeah, I think I've got that.
You not see it? Okay.
I think so, but yeah.
So if you've now got your tree, go back over here. So you've now got your tree. Yeah, I've tried to draw on here what I did with my tree, with my life. So I kind of went from here, and I wouldn't really say that I knew myself. I wouldn't really say that I had any kind of understanding of my body and my ego very well to start off with. So I threw myself into love and relationships. So that really hurt me, because this is not the density for open-hearted love. This is the density for discernment and getting to know another self. So, that really hurt me. So then I kind of moved away from that, and then kind of went back to that, and then this line here, this actually represents death, which led me to the heart chakra, and not being hurt by these things anymore. And then that led me to the path of the hermit, which is where I am right now. in my little shack, hermiting away, and this leads up towards Jupiter, or the Akashic records, access to the higher self and the higher mind, which then leads you to this path here, which is the fall or the choice, directly to Kether and unity and oneness. Now, Ra gave us a way of understanding how to complete these paths with the tarot archetypes. So I put them down here. On here, I generally think of it like this, where you have a pyramid shape, and the matrix is the pyramid with all the potential energies. Then the potentiator is like if you had sprung water out the top and it's like pouring down the sides. That's potentiating the issue. Then catalyst would be, say, like lightning or damage happening to the pyramid. Experience would be like watching what happened to the pyramid. Then the significator would be where the water's cut channels into the pyramid. It's actually started to carve the pyramid into something different. Then transformation is when it's completely transformed. And the great way, I give it a capstone. Anyway, all of this, strangely, works very well when you think about this being a pyramid and this being the energy that leads up to it. In fact, I was kind of had a idea down here. I can't really see it very well because I haven't gone over it. Whereas you could have the matrix as the bottom part. Yeah, then the potentiator being the line that would be, say, that one there. Would be, say, this one here to that one.
Yeah.
And then the catalyst, the significator, and the experience would be the bottom part of this pyramid, with the choice made as the transformation leading to the great way. So, but that didn't really fit onto the tree that well. So I then thought I'll actually try tracking the paths on here. So matrix, potentiator, catalyst, by the actual numbers that they get given. And I mean, I don't know about you, but that really does look like an M, mind, body, spirit. I mean, that's just me, but that does look like a mind, body, spirit, right? Anyway, so by doing this, you can then use the trees, the Sephiroth, knowing what this means, yeah, that love and how it's supposed to be used between people. You know, how unconditional love is a power source for everything. Using every single step, the way that Ra describes them, every single thing on here is the same way that Ra describes it. It all fits right. And then using the tarot cards and their position, it gives you a very real way of addressing these things and balancing the two energies that you've got affecting your chakras and energy centers in the center. So the tree has a lot. That is absolutely superficial, scratching the surface. I hope it didn't go over too long. I rushed through loads, but I could have spoken for another 3 or 4 hours.